Open your book to page 312. This is lesson 11.4. This lesson is on factoring a trinomial. Okay, so this is going to be your step 4. Okay, so let's go and do a little bit of review first about multiplication. So let's say if you have x plus 2 times x plus 3. Okay. So when you multiply, right, you use your FOIL method, right? So you multiply, you get x squared. Multiply, you get plus 3x. Okay? Then you multiply, you get plus 2x. Multiply, you get plus 6. And notice you combine the like terms, right? So you're going to get x squared plus 5x plus 6. Okay? So if you notice where this number came from, this number 5 came from adding these two. See, this came from these, right? And this 2 came from these, right? So this number came from adding. Okay, so again, 5 came from adding these 2. The 6 came from multiplying. Okay, so 2 times 3 give you 6. And you can see that, right? So let's say if you have x minus 2 times x minus 3. So again, when you multiply, you get x squared. When you multiply, you get minus 3x. When you multiply, you get minus 2x, and you multiply, you get plus 6. And then when you combine the like terms, so you're going to get x squared minus 5x plus 6. So you can notice where this number came from. This came from adding, right? Negative 2 plus negative 3 give you a negative 5, right? So this came from adding. This came from multiplying. Negative 2 times negative 3 give you positive 6, right? Now, you have to be careful. All these examples are for when there's no coefficient, there's no number in front of the x. So this is 1. Okay? So we're going to deal more with this later on when there's a number in front. But right now, okay, no number in front of the variable. Okay? So in that case, you can just go ahead and you add to get a middle, and you multiply to get that. All right? So let's do more examples. For example, if you have x minus 2, and let's say x plus 5. So without doing the FOIL method, once you learn this, you know your shortcut, right? It will be x squared, right? This is always x squared. So you have to add to get a middle. So negative 2 plus 5 will give you plus 3x, right? And all the variables have to go down in order, right? You start with x squared, then x, and no x, right? So again, you add to get a middle. You multiply minus 10. So you can do it very quick, okay? And you can try it out, okay? So that's a multiplication. So you know that this came from adding, this came from multiplying, right? So when you're doing the factoring, you have to go backward from this to this. And the way you're going to do that is by using this information. This came from adding, this came from multiplying. Okay, so let's go over example 2. See how can we do this going backward. So example 2 on page 313. You have x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? So this is what you want to do. You want to put a cross, and you do the adding, and this is for multiplying. Okay, and the number you need to get is the 5 and the 6. Okay, so you need to get two numbers. You know that you're going to need to have these, right? So you're looking for two numbers that when you add will give you 5. When you multiply, it will give you 6. So what you want to do is you want to do the multiplication first, because when you're doing the addition, there's infinite number of possibilities. So it's going to be hard to do. So you want to do this one first. And all you have to do is start with 1 comma 6. So 1 times 6 give you 6. 1 plus 6 give you 5. No. So this is not it. So you go to the next one. So again, just go down the list. You go 1 and go 2. 2 times 3, right? So 2 times 3 give you 6. 2 plus 3 give you 5. So this is the correct combination if it match both. Okay, and all you have to do is put this number in here. So it'd be plus 2, plus 3, right? And you can check, right? 2 plus 3 give you 5. 2 times 3 give you 6. So that's how you know you do it correctly. So when you go backward, make sure you do the cross, okay? And put this number, so you see the 5 and 6, 5 and 6, right? Okay, let's continue. Let's go and do more. Let's go to example 3. Okay, so this technique is called a master product. We're going to cover more this later on. So this is this the technique that we're doing right now is this one here, master product. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go and do more example. So example 3, you got m squared minus 9m plus 8. Okay, so again, step 1, common factor, cannot. There's no number to factor, and cannot do the variable because there's no variable. Again, make sure you do step 1 first. Okay, so step 1, cannot. Step 2, special factor, 3 terms, you have to check for perfect squares. Now, perfect square means that the beginning and the end have to be a perfect square, and this you have to check for this one. Okay, so right now this is not a perfect square, so that's not it. So we go to master product. So you're going to get negative 9. Now remember, don't forget your negative. Okay, you have to keep track of all your signs. So again, you start with 1 comma 8. But notice when you use the negative, you're not going to give you the negative. When you use positive, you're not going to end up with a negative. So in this case, you have to use both negative to able to get that. Okay, so again, you have to make sure everything all match. Negative 1 times negative 8 will give you positive 8. But negative 1 plus negative 8 will give you negative 9. So that's the one. So that's the correct one. Okay. So again, when this number is positive, you have to think if you need to use positive or negative. Okay, because positive times positive will give you positive. Negative times negative will give you positive also. So you kind of have to decide. And the way to do it is by looking at this. So if it is negative, then you have to use negatives, right? Okay, so you're going to get m and an m, right? And again, these two numbers, whatever you see, you put in here. So minus 1, minus 8. And you can check, right? Negative 1 plus negative 8 give you negative 9. Negative 1 times negative 8 give you positive 8. So again, you add to get that, you multiply to get that. And when everything is all checked, that means your factoring is correct. Okay, let's go to example 4. Okay, example 4 on page 314. You're factoring a squared plus 4a minus 12. So step 1, common factor, cannot. There's no number for you to factor, so cannot do the number. Cannot do the a because there's no a. So step 1 cannot. So you go to step 2. Okay, perfect squares. This is not a perfect square. Okay, because again, in order to do the 3 terms, right? 3 terms, you have to check. You have to be a perfect square. Okay, so if it's a perfect square, you want to check that. But this is not a perfect square, so that's not it. So step 3, cube. Okay, this is not a cube. So you go to step 4, master product. So again, master product, you're going to have the 4 and negative 12. Okay, now it's quicker, instead of trying to sit there and try to think, it's quicker, just go do it automatically. Go 1 comma negative 12, start with 1 and go down the list. 2 comma negative 6. So when you get over here, you can see that when you add, you get negative 4. But you need to get positive 4, so you know that it's reversed. So you go 6 comma negative 2. Okay, 6 times negative 2 give you negative 12. 6 plus negative 2 give you 4. Okay, so circle the correct combination and you break it down. So you got a and an a, right? So a times a give you a squared. Again, this came from adding, right? So you're going to get plus 6 minus 2. Okay, so 6 plus negative 2 give you positive 4. 6 times negative 2 give you negative 12. Okay, so that's your example 4. Okay, let's go to example 5. Example 5, you have x squared plus 9x plus 20. So step 1, common factor, cannot factor a number, there's no number for you to factor. Cannot factor the variable because there's no x for you to factor. So step 1 is cannot, so it's done. So you go to step 2, perfect square. This is not a perfect square, so that's not step 2. So step 3, cube. This is not a cube, so you go to step 4. So make sure you go step 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you have to do step 4, master product. So you get 9 and 20, right? So you can just start with 1 comma 20, 2 comma 10, 3 cannot, so 4 comma 5, right? So 4 times 5 give you 20, 4 plus 5 give you 9. Okay? So this is the correct combination. So that's x, right? So when there's no number in front, it's fairly easy. Whatever you see, you just put in here. Plus 4, plus 5. Okay, so again, 4 plus 5 give you 9. 4 times 5 give you 20. And that would be your answer. Okay, let's go to example 6. example 6, you have x squared minus ax minus 20. So step 1, common factor cannot, no number, right? There's no number, so numbers cannot. X cannot, there's no x, so cannot do the x. So step 1 cannot. So step 2, perfect squares, right? 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. 3 terms, you have to check this. So 3 terms, okay, you have to look for perfect square. There's no perfect square, right? This is not a perfect square. So you go to the cube, right? Step 3, cube. Okay, this is not a cube. So you go to step 4, master product. So you do the cross. Again, keep track of your sign. You must have the negative with you, okay? Okay, so again, start with 1 comma, negative 20, okay, 2 comma, negative 10, and this is it, right? Again, if you just go down the list, it's very quick, right? 2 times negative 10 give you negative 20. Again, remember, this came from multiplication, this came from adding, right? So 2 plus negative 10 give you negative 8. So circle the correct combination, and you come over here, you got x and x, right? You have x times x give you x squared, right? So x and x will take care of this one here. So when you add, right? So plus 2 minus 10, right? When you add, give you negative 8, that takes care of this one. Multiply 2 times negative 10, give you negative 20, that takes care of that. Okay, and that's your answer. Now, example 7, you got 30 minus 13y plus y squared. Now, before we do anything, we need to arrange this in the correct order, because right now this is in the wrong order. So let's go and switch. You got y squared minus 13y plus 30. Remember, negative is part of the term. Okay, so negative go along with this. Negative is part of this. So you have to stay with it. Okay, so rearrange the term. You always go from the highest to the lowest degree, right? So now you can go and do the factoring. So again, you got negative 13 and 30, right? So start with 1 comma 30. But notice, when you have positive add positive, you're not going to get negative. So in order to get a negative, you have to use both negatives. Okay, again, negative times negative will give you positive. So you just go down the list. So negative 2, negative 15. Okay, still no good. So negative 3, negative 10. Right? So this is it. So negative 3 times negative 10 give you positive 30. Negative 3 plus negative 10 give you negative 13. So you got y and y, right? Y times y give you y squared. So this will take care of this. So now you're going to get minus 3 minus 10. So minus 3, so you add, right? When you add, negative 3 plus negative 10 will give you minus 13. So you add to get that, you multiply to get that. So when everything is all matched, then you know your factoring is correct.